the upside. Let's then take a breather from tracking the markets minute by minute and get you some expectations from what to look forward to in the pharmaceutical space this quarter. Ekta is here for more. Ekta, over to you.
Thanks for that. Well, yes, pharma companies are expected to report around a 14% revenue growth, with margins estimated to be stable to marginally improving in the band of 22 to 24% on a consensus basis. The key growth driver this quarter is expected to be the US business, which is going to be aided by key launches such as the cancer drug Revlimid generic and some stability in price erosion and additional supply opportunities as some companies have looked to exit key drugs. Q4 is usually weak for India but could be supported by a strong flu season. Estimates are India is likely to grow anywhere between 9 to 12%. Factors such as the impact of price cuts from the NLEM revision will be watched closely. Margins of around 22 to 23% supported by improved raw material and logistic cost pressures and Q-on-Q stability in drug pricing is something that we could expect. Stock-wise, Dr. Reddy's, Natco, Cipla, Zydus Life are all key beneficiaries of Revlimid generic. Sun Pharma is likely to see continued traction from sales in the specialty business. Watch for the impact from the IT security incident, Halol import alert. Commentary from Lupin on Spiriva generic and Aurobindo on the injectables business will be watched closely. Biocon should be aided by full integration of the Viatris biosimilar acquisition. Domestic growth is expected to be steady for the likes of Torrent, JB Chemicals, Alchem, Glenmark. API companies are likely to see improved demand aiding revenue. Realizations could continue to be pressured due to excess capacity. Margins like pharma companies will be aided by the overall decline in raw material as well as freight costs. From the API companies, a Q-on-Q recovery in Divi's Labs, margins will be closely watched on a sequential basis. Diagnostic companies should see mid-single-digit revenue growth Q-on-Q, with margins sustaining anywhere between 24 to 26% for Dr. Lal's and Metropolis. Hospitals could possibly report stable to better occupancy sequentially due to factors such as stable surgical revenue and increase in medical tourism. And specifically in the hospital space, for Apollo Hospital, the progress on Apollo 24/7 will be watched quite closely.
All right, thanks a lot, Ekta, for that. So let's hope a stable performance comes through for the pharma sector. But the stocks have not been doing too badly. In fact, Dr. Reddy's has been one of the big gainers this year. It's up almost about 15-odd%. Vishal Manchanda, who's the pharma analyst at Systematix Group, joins us now to tell us what to expect. Vishal, Ekta put it, across to us about the entire sector. So out of all these pockets that we're looking at, the API space, the diagnostic companies, what stands out for you as one of the big performers this quarter?
So I think among the formulation names, the larger names, I think Zydus Life is one which should do the best in terms of earnings performance on a quarter-over-quarter basis. So they are the best in terms of the incremental launches in the US. Zydus is best poised. While I think all others, Sun Pharma has got some supply issues they need to deal with. Dr. Reddy's largely depends on how Revlimid does for them on a QOQ basis, because what we have seen is there has been market share erosion for Revlimid in the US. And we are so specifically in case of Revlimid, there is the market share and sales do not correlate very well. So we are not very sure how Revlimid behaves for them, but there's a possibility Revlimid might show a dip in case of Dr. Reddy's. But let's see how it pans out. But otherwise, Dr. Reddy's ex-Revlimid business is doing well for them in the US. We also need to watch out for how the NLEM headwinds play out, because there has been ceiling price revision this quarter. We had seen notifications from NPPA on reducing ceiling prices of drugs. So those ceiling price revisions impact is something we'll have to see how it impacts the numbers. It should be 100 or 200 basis point. That's what we are expecting.
All right. Hi, Vishal. I heard your review on that, but I wanted to particularly ask you about Divi's Laboratory. In the last few quarters, the street is very, very cautious because the management in terms of margins, they're not really giving a concrete number. They're saying for the few quarters, it could be soft. Today, the stock is up closer. The Divi's Laboratory stock is up closer around 5%, Vishal. Any reasoning for that? I mean, have you picked up something?
I can't get you. I'm sorry for that.
Vishal, are we audible right now? All right. I think we have. Okay, I think we'll get that fixed. But Divi's Laboratory, that's the big gainer today. It's up close to around 4.5%. For the last few quarters, the street has been a little bit cautious because of margins. They've seen a fair bit of contraction, and there's no visibility, at least as of now, concrete guidance that's been given about when does it recover. But just take a look at it. Last 1 month, it's come back in style. It's up close to around 10%. And half of that actually has come in today's trading session itself. But from the peak, it's seen a fair bit of correction. Vishal's back with us. Vishal, I hope I'm audible right now because I wanted to ask you about Divi's Laboratory. That's seen a sharp correction from the peak, but today the stock is up 5%. Any fresh piece of news that you've picked up?
So I don't really think there's a news on Divi's, but for sure the previous quarter that we have seen for Divi's was the bottom, and we're going to see growth from that number. So probably we'll see some margin improvement, and we'll also see sales improvement in case of Divi's, because the COVID supplies had completely tapered off, and now they can grow on the base. So it's going to be a positive trajectory for them from here on.
You want to give us a couple of numbers about what kind of margin improvement are you factoring in, for Divi's, or what kind of growth estimates you have?
So I would like to put it on a quarter-over-quarter basis. We are expecting around 3 to 4% growth on a QOQ basis on top line, and about 100 basis point improvement in margins.
Okay, 100 basis points improvement in margins. Ekta was just telling us that there is a sequential mid-single-digit revenue growth that she's expecting with a margin expansion this time around. We'll keep Divi's on our radar. But, the other stock I wanted to chat with you about was Dr. Reddy's. It's had a really smooth run this year. I mean, if you look at the movement, Dr. Reddy's is up almost 15% in 2023 already. And looks like it's going to be a decent set of earnings as well. An EBITDA growth of around 30%, revenue growth of 11%. But what are the big triggers for Dr. Reddy's, you think?
I think what the street is waiting for in Dr. Reddy's for a larger upside from where it is today is people are waiting for them to get more large approvals in the US. So Revlimid is one they got a year back, but people want to see what is there beyond Revlimid. And that's where I think the larger re-rating stands. And the other trigger would be they kind of gaining traction in China market. So those two triggers would potentially be the re-rating triggers for the company.
Okay. And one last word on the diagnostic companies. There was, of course, a lot of pricing pressure that these companies were facing. What is the expectation in this quarter? Do you think that margin pressure is something that can extend into Q4 as well? And what's the call on these stocks now?
So we don't have a coverage on the diagnostic and health, the hospital space, but these remain, the diagnostic and hospital space are structurally well poised for growth. There are hiccups because of the pressures we are seeing on account of the digital players getting aggressive here. But I think pricing is now getting better versus the price cuts that we had seen by digital players is getting reversed. So I think the sector should improve from where it is. Plus the COVID base has been reset now. We don't have that base giving a pain.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Vishal, for joining in, and have a great day. That's the expectation from the pharmaceutical space. Well, for the market,